What if your greatest enemy wasn't out there, but right inside your head? Why do we believe every fearful thought we think, without ever asking where it came from? Today, we'll uncover the Stoic truth Marcus Aurelius knew centuries ago, that your mind can either be your prison or your power. Most people think their biggest problems are caused by the outside world, by toxic people, unfair situations, or unexpected setbacks. But here's the hard truth. Your real battle isn't with others. It's with your own thoughts. Negative thinking is like a wild animal. If you don't train it, it takes over. It drains your confidence, twists your view of reality, and keeps you trapped in loops of fear, hesitation, and regret. And the ancient Stoics knew this deeply. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. They all taught that the path to a stronger life begins with mastering your own mind. Yet most of us don't even realize we've handed the steering wheel over to negativity. Without knowing it, we let destructive thoughts shape our choices, our emotions, even how we see ourselves. So today, we're diving into powerful Stoic tools that will help you break that pattern, tools to silence self-doubt, clear your mental fog, and rebuild a mindset of strength and clarity. Here's where we start. You are not your thoughts. Most people believe that their thoughts define them. So when fear, shame, or self-doubt creeps in, they assume those feelings reveal who they really are. But in reality, your mind is more like a river, always moving, always flowing with a mix of ideas, emotions, and impulses. Many of them aren't even truly yours. They're shaped by your past, by social pressure, by hidden fears you never chose to carry. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that thoughts are fleeting. They come and go. They only hold power if you let them settle in and take root. Think about it. When was the last time you doubted yourself? Maybe you told yourself something like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll probably fail." That one thought, if left unchallenged, likely snowballed into hesitation, then avoidance, maybe even self-sabotage. But pause. Ask yourself, was that thought really true? Or was it just a reaction, an emotional reflex rather than reality? Negative thoughts feed on assumptions, not facts. And the Stoics? They'd tell you this. Don't believe every thought you think. Challenge it. Observe it. Separate yourself from it. Now that you understand how Stoics reframe their inner world, let's take it further. Because learning to observe your thoughts is only the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore how to train your mind to respond with reason instead of emotion. Before we dive deeper, let's quickly revisit what we just uncovered. Your thoughts are not facts. They're not you. They're passing patterns, and your power lies in how you respond, not react. So the next time a negative thought enters your mind, pause and ask yourself, is this thought truly based on reality, or is it just fear pretending to be truth? More often than not, the harshest thoughts we have are nothing more than echoes of past wounds. They're emotional leftovers, not reflections of the present. They're stories we've told ourselves for years, crafted from moments of pain or failure and repeated so often that they start to feel real. But just because a thought feels real doesn't mean it's true. One of the most powerful ways to loosen the grip of negative thinking is by creating mental distance from your thoughts. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught this clearly. You may not be able to control which thoughts appear in your mind, but you absolutely can control how you engage with them. Imagine your thoughts like clouds floating through the sky. Some are light, others dark. Some come quickly and pass. Others seem to linger, but none of them are the sky itself. You are the sky, vast, calm, unchanged dot. So when a negative thought drifts in, don't panic. Acknowledge it. Notice it, but don't wrestle with it. Don't try to fight it. And don't pretend it's not there. Just let it float on by. This simple but powerful method is known as cognitive distancing, a cornerstone of Stoic practice for cultivating mental clarity and emotional resilience. Now, alongside distancing, there's another key Stoic tool: reframing. This means consciously reshaping the way you talk to yourself. For instance, if your mind says, "I'll never be good at this," stop and ask, is that a fact or just frustration speaking? Now reframe it. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm learning. I'm getting better every day. Or if the thought is, I can't handle this, challenge it with, I've handled tough things before. I've survived. I'm stronger than I think. These shifts may seem small, but they're incredibly powerful. Over time, they rebuild your inner dialogue. And that changes everything: how you feel, how you act, and how you see yourself. In today's fast-paced world, we're constantly exposed to overwhelming information, pressure to perform, and endless social comparison. It's easy to fall into mental spirals, worrying about the past, doubting the present, fearing the future. But the Stoics offer us a powerful reminder. You don't have to believe every thought you think. Your strength isn't measured by how few negative thoughts you have, but by how you respond to them. So the next time your mind starts spinning in negativity, pause, observe, question it, then let it go. Most importantly, remind yourself of this core truth: your thoughts don't define who you are. Your actions do not focus on what you can control. Release what you can't, because life will always challenge your patience, your resilience, your emotional stability. You'll face doubts about your future, regrets from your past, and fears about how others see you. But as Marcus Aurelius once said, one of the greatest Stoic minds in history, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now that we've explored how to detach from and reframe negative thoughts, let's move one level deeper. How can we train our minds to remain grounded, even in chaos? Let's find out in the next section. Earlier, we explored how reclaiming your mental clarity begins with observing and reframing your thoughts. But awareness alone isn't enough. The real transformation happens when you take back control, by shifting your focus to what truly lies within your power. This is the heart of Stoicism. While we can't control everything that happens around us, we always have a choice in how we respond. Think about how much energy we waste stressing over things we can't influence. You didn't get that job promotion. Someone said something unfair or hurtful about you. Do you let that spiral into anger, anxiety, or self-doubt? Or do you step back, breathe, and refocus on what you can change? Let's take a common example. You're stuck in traffic. You're running late for a crucial meeting. Your stress level starts to spike. Frustration builds. Your mind begins racing with thoughts like, what if I miss the whole thing? Or they're going to think I'm irresponsible. But here's the reality. No matter how upset you get, traffic won't move faster. Time won't slow down. The only thing within your reach, your only source of power, is your response. You can sit there gripping the wheel, angry and overwhelmed. Or you can take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use the time wisely. Maybe mentally prepare for the meeting. Maybe listen to something that brings you calm or inspiration. This small shift changes everything. It reminds you that even when external events feel chaotic, your inner world doesn't have to mirror that chaos. This Stoic principle applies across every area of life. We often hand over our peace of mind to things completely beyond our control. But what if we didn't? Ask yourself honestly, how many of today's worries are about things you can't actually influence? What would your life feel like if you simply let those things go? Now, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not apathy, it's power. It means choosing to focus your energy where it counts. Didn't get the job? You can't change their decision, but you can sharpen your skills, find better opportunities, and keep moving. Someone insults you? You may not be able to stop them from speaking, but you can decide whether their words shape how you see yourself. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And if your thoughts are constantly tied to things outside your control, you're draining your peace and clarity for no reward. The truth is, life will test you. People will disappoint you. And the unexpected will knock on your door more than once. But the ultimate power? It's not found in fixing everything. It's found in responding wisely to what you can't fix, and taking full ownership of what you can. That's how you reclaim your mental freedom. That's how you unlock lasting peace. So, the next time you feel yourself spiraling into stress or anger, pause. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. Shift your focus to what's always in your hands: your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. In the next part, we'll explore how Stoics trained their minds daily, not just in moments of crisis, but as a lifelong practice of discipline and inner strength. Let's continue. Previously, we uncovered the Stoic truth that peace begins with letting go of what you can't control. But there's another layer to this mindset, one that doesn't just protect your peace. It transforms your identity. Because when you shift your perspective, you don't just feel less stressed, you become stronger. This mental shift builds something far more valuable than comfort: resilience. And in a noisy world full of chaos, distractions, and pressure, that kind of inner strength is priceless. Let's talk about the stories we tell ourselves. Negative thoughts are like unwelcome guests that sneak into your mind and refuse to leave. They whisper doubts, fears, and regrets, quietly eroding your self-worth. And the longer they stay, the more convincing they sound. But here's the truth: those thoughts aren't facts. They're just stories. Stories shaped by your past. Stories you've repeated so often, you've started to believe them. But belief doesn't equal truth. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully: the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, the more often you think a thought, whether positive or negative, the more it begins to color your view of the world and of yourself. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, that you always fail, that no one respects you, then you begin to live in the shadow of that narrative, whether or not it's based in reality. But what if you took control of the story? What if you grabbed the pen back from your fears and rewrote the script? You are not defined by that one failed moment. You are not the harsh words someone once said to you. You are not your past mistakes. What defines you is what you choose to do next. Imagine someone who spent years believing they're simply unlucky. Every setback reinforces it. Every missed chance feels like proof that life just isn't on their side. But what if they stopped seeing those moments as curses and started seeing them as feedback, as stepping stones, as signs pointing toward growth? This simple reframing can completely change your reality. Because the way you interpret an event often has more impact than the event itself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. So if you continue to tell yourself that you're stuck, that your situation is hopeless, that success is for everyone but you, then yes, that will become your reality because you've accepted it. But if you decide to see each challenge as a test, each failure as a lesson, and each day as a new beginning, then your life, your experience of life, will start to shift. The world around you might not change overnight, but your perception will. And that's where your true power lies. So take a moment and reflect. Can you recall a time when you believed something negative about yourself? Maybe it was, "I'm not good at relationships," or "I always ruin things," or "I'm not smart enough to make it." Now stop and ask, was that really the truth? Or just a thought you've been repeating? Coming up next, we'll learn how to break free from those recurring thought loops and replace them with clarity, discipline, and purpose, using ancient Stoic exercises that still hold power today. Let's keep going. Previously, we saw how the thoughts you repeat shape the life you live, and that changing the narrative starts with reclaiming the pen. But how exactly do you do that? Let's be clear. Rewriting your inner story doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It doesn't mean lying to yourself or ignoring the truth. It means choosing a perspective that empowers you instead of limiting you. You failed at something? That doesn't make you a failure. It means you just discovered one way that didn't worked out. Someone rejected you? It doesn't mean you're unworthy. It simply means you weren't the right fit for them in that moment. You feel lost right now? That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're in the middle of a transformation, a chapter of discovery. Every negative thought you have can be reframed not into a sugar-coated lie, but into a mindset that keeps you moving forward instead of holding you back. So, how do you actually rewrite your narrative? Start by questioning your thoughts. Are they facts or just opinions shaped by fear or habit? Call them out. Break them down. Replace them. Instead of saying, "I'll never be successful," try, "I haven't figured it out yet, but I will." Instead of thinking, "Nobody cares about me," say, "I will find the people who value me. They're out there." Instead of telling yourself, "I always fail," say, "I'm still learning and I'm improving every single day." This isn't about empty positivity. It's not wishful thinking. It's mental discipline, training your mind to look through the lens of resilience, not defeat. And once you build that habit, something powerful happens. No failure, no criticism, no opinion from others can shake you. Because you've taken back control of the story. You're the author. And you're writing something worth living. Now, let's go one step deeper. Embrace hardship as training. Life was never meant to be easy, and the sooner you accept that truth, the stronger you become. Far too many men spend their lives avoiding pain, dodging discomfort, fearing failure. But what if hardship isn't your enemy? What if it's your greatest teacher? Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That one sentence contains a lifetime of wisdom. Every challenge you face, every obstacle, setback, and failure isn't here to break you. It's here to shape you. Hard times aren't punishments. They are preparation. Think about it. A man who never struggles, never feels resistance, and never fights for anything. What kind of man does that produce? Soft, untested, fragile. but the man who's walked through fire, who's faced loss, tasted failure, and still chose to rise again. That's the kind of man forged in truth. That's real strength. So when life knocks you down, don't rush to escape the pain. In the next part, we'll explore how to turn pain into purpose and how the Stoics trained themselves to become stronger with every setback. Let's continue. Last time we saw how true strength is forged, not in comfort, but through resistance. Now let's take that one step further. How do you respond when life pushes you to your edge? When things fall apart? When you're tired, discouraged, and ready to give up? Ask yourself this powerful question. What is this moment trying to teach me? Because every struggle holds the seed of strength. If you choose to see it that way, picture a soldier in training. He doesn't complain about the weight of his gear, the pain of early mornings, or the exhaustion of relentless drills. Why? Because he knows those hardships aren't obstacles, they're preparation. They're sharpening him, strengthening him, readying him for the battle ahead. Life isn't much different. The challenges you face, whether in your job, your relationships, or deep inside your own mind, are doing the same thing. They are forging something in you, something unshakable, but only if you allow them to. The problem is, most people don't see it that way. They treat hardship like a curse, something to run from, not rise through. But the Stoics understood the deeper truth. Epicurus reminded us, difficulties show a person's character. So when life tests you, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, remind yourself, I'm being tested. This is my proving ground. Your true strength isn't built in moments of comfort. It's revealed in moments of crisis. You don't become disciplined, wise, or resilient by living an easy life. You become those things by staring down difficulty and refusing to back away. Take a moment now and think about the hardest thing you've ever lived through. Maybe it was a devastating breakup. Maybe it was financial collapse or losing someone you loved. Maybe it was waking up one day and feeling completely lost, like you had no direction left. At the time, it felt like it would crush you. But look at you now, you survived. And not only did you survive, you gained something from it. You came out of that darkness with scars, yes, but also with lessons. A deeper understanding of yourself. A quiet kind of strength that only pain can teach. That's the hidden purpose of hardship. It carves away what's soft. It exposes your limits and dares you to push beyond them, but only if you embrace it. The men who crumble in hard times are the ones who complain, who blame others, who look for shortcuts. They run from the fire, hoping life will get easier, but the ones who rise, who become grounded, focused, and immovable, are the ones who see hardship for what it really is. Training, fuel, an opportunity to become more. Seneca said it perfectly. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. So when the next storm hits, when things get hard, don't ask, why me? Ask instead, what is this here to teach me? Because that single shift in mindset, it's where growth begins. In the next part, we'll explore practical ways to develop that unshakable mindset, daily habits, mental exercises, and Stoic techniques that turn pain into progress. Let's continue. Previously, we discovered how hardship doesn't break you, it builds you. It sharpens your character, tests your limits, and forges real strength. But there's another crucial layer to inner mastery, learning how to fully live in the present moment, because that's where life actually happens. Hardship doesn't come to stop you, it comes to shape you. to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, the lost from the disciplined, the fragile from the unshakable. So, the question isn't, why is this happening to me? It's, will I let this moment train me? Take a second to reflect. Which of the 4 Stoic principles we've explored so far struck you the hardest? Let us know in the comments. Your insight could help someone else on the same path. Now let's talk about something just as powerful yet often overlooked: the power of presence and gratitude. Too often, we live either in the rearview mirror of regret or in the fog of future anxiety. We replay past mistakes. We obsess over what-ifs. We worry about things that haven't even happened. But rarely do we stop, breathe, and actually experience the moment we're in. Marcus Aurelius warned against this habit. He said, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbor, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. Think rather of something useful to be done." In other words, bring your attention back to the now, because it's the only place where anything real happens. How often have you found yourself physically present, but mentally somewhere else? Maybe you're sitting at dinner with your family, but your mind is still spinning from work. Maybe you're walking outside, but instead of feeling the breeze or hearing the birds, you're reliving an argument from 3 days ago. Maybe you're lying in bed, but your thoughts are racing ahead to tomorrow's problems. This split between body and mind is one of the biggest reasons people feel anxious, disconnected, or unfulfilled, because they're never truly here. It's like a man drowning in a river, thrashing, fighting the current, desperately trying to control something uncontrollable. That's what happens when you try to rewrite the past or predict the future. You waste your energy. You exhaust your spirit. But the Stoic, the wise man, he doesn't resist the current. He moves with it. He accepts that the past is gone, the future is unknown, and that the only thing he truly owns is this moment. That's where gratitude comes in. Seneca once wrote, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Gratitude is the antidote to dissatisfaction. It's not just a feel-good emotion, it's a mindset shift. When you focus on what you already have, you stop chasing what you think you're missing. In today's world, that message is more important than ever. We're constantly bombarded with messages that we need more. More money, more success, more attention. But what if you already have enough? In the next section, we'll explore how to cultivate presence and gratitude as daily habits. Simple, Stoic practices that can transform the way you experience life. Let's keep going. Earlier, we talked about how gratitude shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Now let's take that one step deeper, because happiness isn't found in what's missing. It's found in what's already here. So many of us spend our lives chasing more money, more success, more recognition. We tell ourselves, "I'll be happy when." But here's the truth. Happiness doesn't live in the next purchase, the next promotion, or the next milestone. It lives in your ability to fully appreciate what's already right in front of you. Take a moment. Breathe. Now ask yourself, what are you currently taking for granted? Your health? Your relationships? The quiet gift of simply waking up to see another day? Imagine how different your life might feel if, instead of constantly chasing something outside yourself, you actually noticed and valued what you already have. 2. Many men waste their best years waiting for the right time to enjoy life. They say, "I'll be happy when I make more money, when I meet the right partner, when I retire." But life doesn't wait. And by the time they finally realize what they had, It's already slipped through their fingers, lost in years of worry, pressure, and distraction. That's why the Stoics emphasize the power of present moment awareness. It's not just about mindfulness, it's about reclaiming your real time. Because the present moment is the only time you're truly alive. When you are present, you listen with attention. You think more clearly. You act with purpose instead of reacting out of habit. And when you pair presence with gratitude, something beautiful happens. You stop seeing life as something broken that needs to be fixed, and start seeing it as something precious that you get to experience. So ask yourself, what's stopping you from being fully present right now? What unnecessary weight are you carrying that keeps you from noticing the beauty of your current life? The past, it's done. The future, still unwritten. But this moment right now belongs to you. Will you waste it, or will you use it? Because when your life reaches its final chapter, the moments that mattered most won't be the ones you spent worrying. They'll be the ones you truly lived. And speaking of perspective, there's one powerful Stoic exercise that helps you instantly reconnect with what really matters. It's called the view from above. Most of our problems seem massive until we change the way we look at them. When you're buried in daily stress, frustrated, anxious, overwhelmed, everything feels personal and urgent. But what if you could rise above it all and see your life from a distance? The Stoics practiced this shift in awareness intentionally. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire and a man burdened with endless responsibility, reminded himself to step back from his worries. He wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." What did he mean? In the next section, we'll break down exactly how to use the view from above to shrink your problems, gain clarity, and refocus your mind on what truly matters. Let's keep going. Previously, we introduced the Stoic practice of the view from above, a powerful way to rise above stress and see life with greater clarity. Now let's go deeper into how this mental shift can change the way you relate to your problems. When you mentally step back and see your life from a broader perspective, something interesting happens. The issues that once felt overwhelming begin to shrink. What once consumed your thoughts now seems small, almost insignificant. Ask yourself, how many of the things you're worrying about right now will actually matter next week? What about next year, at the end of your life? Chances are, most of what keeps you up at night, the opinions of others, the fear of not measuring up, the petty arguments, the small inconveniences, they'll all fade into nothing when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture. It's like what astronauts describe when they look at Earth from space. From that high up, borders disappear. Conflicts seem pointless. The things we fight over, money, ego, control, feel absurdly small. What they see is the truth. One connected world. No lines, no drama. Just perspective. The Stoics trained themselves to do the same, but without leaving the ground. Instead of getting tangled in everyday frustration, they would visualize themselves from above, seeing not just their current problem, but how tiny it truly was in the context of an entire life. Seneca expressed it best. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And he was right. So much of our suffering comes not from reality, but from our attachment to things that don't really matter. Status, possessions, fleeting emotions, the craving to always be seen as successful, important, or in control. But when you practice the view from above, those attachments start to loosen their grip. You begin to see clearly. Your problems don't disappear, but they lose their power to dominate your mind. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Close your eyes. Imagine rising above your day, your schedule, your worries. See yourself from the clouds. Zoom out. See your street, then your city, then your country, then the whole planet. Now ask yourself, does that argument you had still matter? Does that mistake define who you are? Or does it all start to feel like a passing moment in a much larger, unfolding story? There's a story of a businessman who lost everything: his company, his fortune, his status. At first, he was crushed. He thought his life was over. But then he paused and asked a deeper question: what still matters? He realized he still had his health. He still had people who loved him. He still had time, knowledge, and the ability to rebuild. His mistake: he had measured his entire identity by external success. But when he zoomed out and saw life through a higher lens, he discovered something far more valuable: his strength, his wisdom, his resilience. That's the essence of Stoic wisdom. Everything, even your problems, is temporary. What matters is how you choose to respond. In the next part, we'll explore how Stoics faced adversity, not with denial, but with preparation. We'll dive into the powerful practice of premeditatio malorum, visualizing obstacles before they come, so nothing can shake you when they do. Let's continue. Previously, we explored how rising above your worries, seeing them from a higher perspective, can shift everything. But now comes the deeper question. Once you see clearly, what do you do about it? You have a choice. Will you let your problems control you, or will you rise above them? So the next time negativity starts to trap you, when you're caught in that mental loop, pause, step back. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? Does this situation define who I truly am? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy toward what actually matters: your character, your habits, the way you live each day. Because in the end, the only thing that limits you is the mindset you refuse to change. Now, let's talk about the one trait that makes this inner transformation possible: self-discipline. Discipline is the foundation of greatness. It's the force that separates dreamers from doers, the trait that turns ambition into reality, vision into action. The man who builds something lasting, the man who carves a legacy, who rises above mediocrity. He isn't driven by luck or even raw talent. He's driven by discipline. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every single day, you are presented with a choice. Will you control your actions? Or will you let your emotions, distractions, and impulses control you? The modern world doesn't make this easy. In fact, it's designed to weaken your focus. Distractions are everywhere. Comfort is addictive. Instant gratification is always just one click away. And because of that, too many men get stuck. They start projects, but never finish. They talk about changing their lives, but never take the first step. They wait for the perfect time, which, of course, never comes. But here's what separates the exceptional from the average. It's not motivation. It's not excitement. It's the ability to act, even when you don't feel like it. To show up consistently. To choose the harder path deliberately. To do the work especially when it's uncomfortable. Think of a soldier training for battle. He doesn't wait to feel inspired. He trains every day, because he knows that when the battle comes, discipline, not motivation, is what will save his life. Life works the same way. Without discipline, You will be tossed around by emotions, circumstances, and temptations. You'll be ruled by the external world, forever reacting, never leading. Seneca said it best: luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Too many men sit around waiting for their big break, waiting for the right moment, to start that business, to get in shape, to repair their relationships. But opportunity only rewards the prepared. So ask yourself, are you preparing? Are you doing the work? Because if you're not taking action, if you're not building yourself every single day, then the opportunity you're hoping for may come and pass you by. In the next part, we'll uncover how to strengthen your discipline through small daily habits, and how Stoic action turns thoughts into transformation. Let's move forward. Previously, we talked about how preparation meets opportunity, and that self-discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. Now let's go even deeper into what this really means for your life. Because here's the truth. Self-discipline is freedom. Without it, you are not free. The man who cannot control his cravings, his fears, or his laziness isn't in charge of his life. He's a slave to emotion, to comfort, to procrastination. But the man who masters discipline, he becomes unstoppable. He doesn't wait for motivation. He creates his own drive by building habits that carry him forward, no matter how he feels. He shows up even on the days when he doesn't feel like it. He doesn't need permission. He doesn't wait for inspiration. He moves. Now think about this. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? And how many tomorrows have come and gone while nothing changed? How many years have slipped by while you stayed stuck waiting for the right time that never actually arrives? The only way to break this cycle is through action. Not overthinking. Not planning forever. Action. If you want to get in shape, don't waste hours researching the perfect workout routine. Drop down, do one push-up, then do another tomorrow. Let the habit grow from there. If you want to switch careers, stop waiting for ideal conditions. Start learning. Start building skills. Start now, Epictetus said. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That's it. Action is the cure for hesitation. It kills fear. It silences self-doubt. And the more you act, the more confidence you build. Momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. There is no secret formula, no shortcut. Just a decision to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. So ask yourself honestly, are you a man who acts or a man who waits? Are you in control of your life, or are you letting life control you? Because your future depends on how you answer that question, and no one can make that choice but you. Now, discipline alone isn't enough. There's another force at play, one that can build or destroy you in seconds: emotion. Let's talk about it. In the next section, we'll dive into emotional detachment, the Stoic approach to mastering your feelings without suppressing them. Because emotions aren't the enemy, but letting them rule you is. Let's keep going. In the last section, we explored the power of self-discipline, how taking consistent action, regardless of emotion, creates real freedom. But now we arrive at the other half of the equation, your emotions themselves. Because without emotional control, even the most disciplined man can be led astray. We've all been there. Letting a moment of anger, fear, or pride take the wheel, only to regret it afterward, wishing we had paused, taken a breath, and responded with reason instead of raw emotion. This is why emotional detachment is essential. It's not about being cold. It's not about ignoring how you feel. It's about maintaining the ability to stay calm, centered, and rational, even when everything around you is in chaos. Picture a seasoned firefighter charging into a burning building. Flames roaring, smoke thick. But does he freeze in panic? Does he let fear cloud his judgment? No. He stays focused. He assesses. He acts with clarity. His emotions are present, but they don't control him. Now contrast that with the average person facing stress or conflict. They lash out. They blame. They spiral into impulsive decisions driven not by reason, but by frustration. So ask yourself, which man is truly in control of his life? Seneca captured this idea perfectly when he said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And it's true. Most of our pain, stress, and anxiety doesn't come from what actually happens, but from how we interpret it. Someone criticizes you at work, do you immediately flare up with anger? Or do you step back and think, does this really matter? Is this worth my peace? Emotional detachment gives you that power. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Instead of letting circumstances or people control how you feel and act. Look at the world today. Outrage is everywhere. People react without thinking. They're quick to argue, quick to take offense, quick to defend their ego. But what does this constant emotional reactivity actually achieve? Nothing. Just more conflict, more stress, more wasted time. Now think of the men you truly admire. The ones who stay grounded, even under pressure. Are they the ones who explode over every inconvenience? Or are they the ones who stay calm, composed, and clear-minded? The answer is obvious, because emotional detachment is not weakness. It's a quiet kind of strength. It's the discipline to pause, to think, and to respond with wisdom, not impulse. So how do you develop this strength? Start by observing your first reaction to stress. Don't act immediately. Take a moment. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter a week from now, a year? Will I be proud of how I respond? Remind yourself of this truth. You are not obligated to act on every emotion that arises. When you learn to pause, to detach, to observe your emotions without being controlled by them, you become unshakable. People may try to provoke you. Situations may test your patience. But instead of reacting, you stay grounded. Next, we'll explore how Stoics handled external chaos and how to protect your peace in a noisy, unpredictable world without closing your heart or losing your power. Let's keep going. In the last part, we explored how emotional detachment gives you the ultimate power, the ability to respond with clarity instead of being ruled by reaction. And when you master that, when you no longer take the bait, you stop being overwhelmed by life. You begin to lead it. Life will always throw challenges your way. That's inevitable. But once you learn to detach and step back, you won't be consumed by chaos. You may not control what happens, but you will control how you respond. And that is the only power that truly matters. Because in the end, the world doesn't belong to the loudest man in the room, or the most emotional one. It belongs to the man who remains calm, who sees clearly, and acts with purpose. So ask yourself, are you that man? Or are you still letting your emotions dictate your behavior, your decisions, your life? That choice has always been yours. And it still is. By the way, how do you deal with negative thoughts on a daily basis? Share in the comments. You never know who your experience might help. Now, let's move into another core Stoic principle. Choosing the right company. The people you surround yourself with don't just affect your mood. They shape your mindset, influence your behavior, and steer the course of your life, often more than you realize. Spend too much time around weak men, those who constantly complain. Blame others or make excuses, and you will slowly adopt that same way of thinking. Their mindset becomes your mindset. But surround yourself with people who are disciplined, focused, and driven, and you'll begin to raise your own standards just to keep up. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and your thoughts are heavily colored by the company you keep. So ask yourself, honestly, are the people in your life pushing you to become stronger, to think sharper, to grow beyond your comfort zone? Or are they quietly pulling you backward, feeding your worst habits, encouraging your mediocrity, and making it easier for you to stay stuck?" Too many men spend years surrounded by the wrong influences, unaware of how much those relationships are limiting their potential. Picture a man who dreams of becoming fit and disciplined, but all his friends mock effort, skip workouts, and choose short-term pleasure over long-term growth. Even if he starts strong, their energy will wear him down. Now imagine that same man in a different environment, where people wake up early, train hard, hold each other accountable. He doesn't just improve, he elevates. This doesn't just apply to fitness. It applies to every part of your life, your career, your mindset, your goals, and your growth. Seneca put it plainly: associate with people who are likely to improve you. It's a simple truth, but it's one that can change everything. Because your circle doesn't just reflect who you are, it shapes who you become. So if your life feels stuck, if your discipline is fading, if your dreams feel far away, maybe it's time to look around you and ask one powerful question. In the next part, we'll dig deeper into how your environment shapes your destiny and how to build a circle that fuels your purpose instead of pulling you off course. Let's keep going. In the last part, we explored the life-changing truth that your environment shapes your growth, and that the people you surround yourself with can either elevate you or drag you down. Now let's go even further. What happens when you choose to rise? When you place yourself among those who take responsibility, strive for excellence, and demand more from themselves. You can't help but rise to meet them. But in today's world overflowing with distractions and excuses, there's no shortage of weak voices telling you otherwise. They'll say it's okay to settle, that ambition is overrated, that you should just go with the flow, stay comfortable, avoid risk. But strong men know better. They understand that every single choice, including who you allow into your inner circle, either pushes you forward or holds you back. So take a good look at your closest relationships. Ask yourself, do these people challenge me to become better? Do they encourage discipline, wisdom, and resilience? Or do they feed my worst habits, reinforce my doubts, and pull me into complacency? Here's the truth. You don't owe your time, energy, or loyalty to someone just because they've always been around. If a relationship is poisoning your mindset, draining your drive, or stunting your growth, you have two options: change it or walk away. Choosing the right company doesn't make you arrogant. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you intentional. You only have so much energy. Where and with whom you invest it matters. You are under no obligation to remain in environments that weaken you. So surround yourself with people who live with clarity. People who are committed to growth. People who don't just talk about high standards, they live by them. And if you don't yet have those people in your life, then seek them out. Read the words of great thinkers. Study those who have built discipline and forged character. Absorb their mindsets. Train your habits. Cultivate the strength you admire until one day, the right people recognize you as one of their own. Because in the end, you only have two directions. You either rise to the level of your surroundings, or you sink to match them. So ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to become? And are the people around you helping you become that man, or are they silently holding you back? Now we arrive at the most profound Stoic reminder of all, one that puts everything into perspective. In the next section, we'll explore memento mori, the ultimate Stoic mindset shift that reminds you of life's fragility, sharpens your focus, and ignites your will to live with purpose before time runs out. Let's continue. In the last section, we explored memento mori, the Stoic reminder that your time is limited, and that understanding this truth can completely change the way you live. Now let's look at how this perspective sharpens your sense of purpose. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That one sentence holds enough power to reshape your entire existence. Because once you accept the fact that your time is not guaranteed, not tomorrow, not even an hour from now, every action, every decision, every wasted hour takes a new weight. Imagine how differently you would live if you truly embraced this idea. Would you still be irritated by a slow driver? Would you still stew over an old grudge? Would you still waste emotional energy on petty complaints or minor inconveniences? Now ask yourself, if today were my last day, would any of those things matter? The answer is always no. And yet, most men move through life as if they're immortal. They delay their dreams. They avoid hard conversations. They let fear decide their future. They tell themselves, "I'll do it later." But later never comes. That's why memento mori is not a morbid philosophy. It's a wake-up call. It strips away the illusions. It reminds you, your time is limited. And because of that, every moment counts. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And it's true. We waste time arguing about nothing, scrolling through meaningless content, pursuing things that don't feed our soul, and ignoring what truly matters. But once you truly understand that your life has an expiration date, something shifts. Your priorities become clearer. The noise fades. And what really matters, your purpose, your relationships, your legacy, rises to the surface. Look at the men who made a lasting impact throughout history. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They acted with urgency. They took risks. They lived every day knowing the clock was ticking. But too many men today live in hesitation. They wait for the right time to chase their dreams, to say what needs to be said, to repair broken relationships, to step into the man they know they were meant to become. But there is no perfect moment. There is only now, the man who lives with memento mori in mind, doesn't waste time chasing approval, doesn't fear failure, and doesn't delay action. He understands that every second matters, that every delay is a lie, that the clock is always ticking, and that waiting is the greatest illusion of all. So ask yourself right now, what are you putting off? What would you regret if your time ran out tomorrow? Because here's the hard truth. Most men only wake up when it's too late, when their health fails, when someone they love is gone, when they finally realize they spent years chasing the wrong things. In the last part, we were reminded of a powerful truth. You don't control how much time you have, but you do control what you do with it. And that brings us to this exact moment. Right now you have a choice. You can keep drifting, living reactively, letting days pass in a haze. Or you can choose to embrace the mindset that every moment matters. Memento mori isn't about being afraid of death. It's about using the reality of death to fuel your life. Will you allow that truth to shape your actions, your mindset, your priorities? Or will you keep putting it off until one day time simply runs out? The decision, as always, is yours. And here's the good news. You don't have to wait for some perfect moment to change. You don't need a dramatic wake-up call. Because the power to take back control of your mind, to silence negative thoughts, to rise above chaos is already in your hands. Every day is an opportunity to challenge self-doubt, to replace destructive narratives, to practice Stoic wisdom, not just in theory, but in real life. Start by focusing on what you can control. Reshape your inner world. Train your mind to see clearly, act calmly, and respond with strength. Because true freedom isn't found in changing the world around you. It's found in mastering the way you think and respond to it. So now the question is simple. Will you let your negative thoughts define who you are? Or will you train your mind like a Stoic warrior, honing it with discipline, perspective, and wisdom? Drop a comment below. Let us know which Stoic principle resonated most with you. And if you found value in this journey, don't forget to like, share, and stay tuned for more lessons in living with clarity and strength. Remember, stay strong, stay present, and keep walking the Stoic path. Now let's take this further. Begun to understand the mindset. But how do you build it into something unbreakable? In the last section, we began exploring what it truly means to build mental toughness, the kind of mindset that doesn't just survive hardship, but grows stronger from it. And it starts with one powerful skill: emotional control. Marcus Aurelius, a man who led one of the greatest empires through war, betrayal, and crisis, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that truth still holds today. Because the world will never fully cooperate with your plans. People will disappoint you. Obstacles will appear out of nowhere. Life won't always seem fair, but your emotions? Those are yours to command. And the man who masters his emotions masters his entire life. Think back to the last time you let anger take over. Maybe you lashed out at someone you care about. Maybe you made a quick decision that you later regretted. Now ask yourself, did that outburst improve the situation? Or did it leave behind more damage than clarity? Seneca warned us long ago, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. That's why the Stoics trained themselves to pause, to breathe before reacting, to step back and ask, is this emotion guiding me toward wisdom or destruction? And in today's fast-paced world, this practice is more essential than ever. A single impulsive email, a heated message, a poorly timed reaction in a high-stress meeting. Each one has the potential to cost you respect, relationships, or opportunities. But a man who stays calm under pressure, he becomes the anchor others rely on. He earns trust because people sense that he won't be swept away by chaos. Developing emotional control isn't about becoming numb. It's not about suppressing how you feel. It's about not letting your feelings make your decisions for you. Acknowledge what you feel. Understand it. Then choose your response deliberately. Picture two men, both facing unexpected failure. The first one explodes with frustration. He blames others. He wallows in bitterness and self-pity. The second feels the same disappointment. But instead of letting it consume him, he reflects, he learns, he adjusts, and he moves forward wiser and stronger. Now ask yourself, which man is more likely to succeed in the long run? More importantly, which man do you want to be? Epictetus, who began life as a slave and rose to become one of Stoicism's most respected voices, put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's where real mental toughness is forged, not in avoiding hardship, but in meeting it head-on with self-discipline and emotional clarity. So, how do you build that kind of control, not just occasionally, but as a way of life? In the next part, we'll break down practical Stoic strategies to help you develop mastery over your emotions, so you can stay composed, focused, and unshakable no matter what life throws at you. Let's move forward. In the last section, we explored how emotional mastery begins with awareness, and that your response, not your reaction, defines your strength. Now let's build on that by talking about how to take that calm mindset and apply it to one of life's hardest truths. Adversity is unavoidable. And yet, it's also your greatest teacher. Everything starts with awareness. Before you can control an emotion, you have to recognize that you're feeling it. Ask yourself, am I reacting out of emotion or responding with reason? Train yourself to pause. Take a breath. Step back before you speak, act, or decide. When something triggers anger, frustration, or sadness, ask, will this matter a week from now? A year from now? At the end of my life? Most of the time, the answer is no. And just that question alone can dissolve the storm inside you. Instead of letting emotions cloud your judgment, focus on what you can always control: your mindset, your choices, your discipline. And here's the payoff. Over time, this habit of self-checking builds a quiet kind of power. It strengthens your inner core. It makes you unshakable. And in today's world, where so many are ruled by emotion, the man who governs himself stands apart. So now, ask yourself, will you let your emotions dictate your life? Or will you take command and forge a mindset no storm can shake? As always, the choice is yours. Now let's shift to another core Stoic principle, one that transforms how you deal with adversity. Reframing challenges as opportunities. Life will throw obstacles your way. Setbacks, failure, heartbreak, rejection. It's all part of the path. But here's the key. It's not the challenge itself that defines you. It's how you perceive it. The Stoics saw adversity not as something to avoid, but as something to use. Marcus Aurelius captured it best when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Let that sink in. It means that whatever is blocking your path, failure, rejection, loss, isn't there to stop you. It's there to teach you, to forge you, to make you stronger if you choose to see it that way. The problem is, too many men waste years complaining, blaming the world, telling themselves life is unfair. But here's the truth. Every struggle hides a hidden opportunity. And whether or not you see that opportunity depends entirely on your mindset. So when life tests you, do you crumble? Or do you step up and reframe what's happening? Think of any great leader, athlete, or entrepreneur. None of them reached greatness by avoiding struggle. They reached it by facing obstacles head-on and refusing to let hardship be a reason to quit. In modern life, this principle is just as relevant. Lose your job? You can treat it as a disaster or a chance to start something better. Go through a breakup. You can drown in regret or use the pain to evolve and rebuild. Fail at a goal? You can throw in the towel or extract the lesson, sharpen your approach, and come back stronger. In the next section, we'll go even deeper into this mindset, how to train your perspective so you instinctively see every challenge as fuel for your growth. Let's continue the path toward true mental resilience. Previously, we explored how reframing adversity is the key to transforming obstacles into growth. Now let's go even deeper, because once you see challenges differently, you unlock a power most men never tap into: mental endurance. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." And he was right. Just like lifting heavy weights builds your muscles, facing adversity builds your inner strength. But only if you frame it the right way. Think about a boxer in the ring. He doesn't complain when he gets hit. He expects it. He knows every punch is part of the fight, part of his growth. If he lets the pain discourage him, he loses. But if he views each hit as a lesson, a test to improve him, then he becomes unstoppable. Now think about your own life. How do you react when things don't go your way? Do you complain? Do you blame others? Do you make excuses and shrink away? Or do you pause? Do you assess the moment and ask, how can I use this? That's the real dividing line, the ability to reframe pain. Setbacks and failure is what separates weak men from strong ones. The weak man sees difficulty and says, "Why me?" The strong man sees it and says, "Good, this is my test. This is my moment to grow." Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You will face struggles. That's a given. But whether they break you or build you, that's a choice only you can make. Every setback can sharpen your focus. Every failure can strengthen your will. Every hardship can increase your resilience. But only if you allow it. Most men run from adversity. They avoid discomfort. They stay small. But the ones who grow, they lean in. They reframe every struggle as a step forward. They become the men who cannot be broken. Now, let's talk about the next level of that power, something the Stoics mastered: the art of mental endurance. Mental endurance is the quiet strength that keeps you going when your body is tired, your mind is screaming, and everything around you says quit. It's what separates those who reach greatness from those who collapse at the first sign of resistance. In today's world, where comfort is available at every turn, most people don't even train this ability. They avoid pain, they avoid challenge, they never develop grit. But you must be different. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, a man who led Rome through war, plague, and betrayal, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of mental endurance. Knowing that while you can't always control what happens, you can always control how you respond. In the next part, we'll break down practical steps for developing this endurance, how to strengthen your willpower, push past mental fatigue, and stay consistent even when motivation fades. Let's keep going. In the last section, we uncovered the essence of mental endurance, the ability to keep moving when your mind and body beg you to stop. But here's the reality: most men today were never taught how to endure. Instead, they were taught the opposite. They were taught to avoid discomfort, to seek instant gratification, to believe that if something feels hard, it must not be worth doing. And this mindset, it leads to weakness. It leads to quitting. It guarantees a life where full potential is never even approached, let alone reached. So, the real question is, How do you develop the kind of endurance that keeps going when others give up? It starts with one simple shift. Stop seeing discomfort as a problem. Seneca said it best: difficulty strengthens the mind as labor does the body. Think about that. Just like your muscles grow by lifting heavier weights, your mind grows stronger by facing tougher challenges. Discomfort is the resistance your character lifts. Picture a man training for his first marathon. The first mile? Brutal. His legs ache, his lungs burn. His body screams to stop. If he listens to that voice, he stays stuck. But if he pushes through, something happens. His body adapts, his mind adjusts. And what once felt impossible becomes effortless. Life works the same way. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, whether physical, emotional, or mental, the more resilient you become. But here's the issue. Most men never train this ability. They quit the moment it gets hard. In business, in relationships, in personal growth. They convince themselves this must be the wrong path because it hurts. But in truth, hardship is the path. Ask yourself, how many times have you quit something, not because you weren't capable, but because it got uncomfortable? How many times have you started with fire, but stopped when motivation faded? Here's the truth. Endurance has nothing to do with feeling good. It's about showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. So how do you build that kind of mindset? Start small. Wake up when you say you will, not when you feel like it. Push through one more set at the gym when your muscles say stop. Hold your tongue in an argument when your ego begs to lash out. These little victories, they build mental armor over time. They create a version of you that doesn't break under pressure, a version that doesn't seek comfort, but seeks growth. Epictetus, who endured slavery and still became one of history's most respected philosophers, once asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" That's the question every man must face, because too many are still waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for a moment that may never come. But the men who endure, they don't wait. They act, they commit even when it's painful, even when progress is invisible, even when it feels like they're moving in place, because they know. In the next part, we'll reveal what truly separates those who rise from those who fall, the ability to stay consistent when nothing seems to be working, and how Stoics train for this exact mental edge. Let's continue. In the previous part, we explored how true endurance comes not from bursts of motivation, but from a consistent, daily commitment to growth, even when the path is uncomfortable. Now let's take that one step further. Understand this clearly. Endurance is not a sprint. It's a long game. Success isn't born from occasional effort or random inspiration. It comes from showing up again and again, day after day, year after year. Regardless of the pain, the setbacks, or the obstacles in your way. But perhaps the final and most difficult test of endurance is how you handle failure. Most men, when faced with failure, interpret it as a signal to stop. They retreat. They quit. They turn back. But the Stoics? They saw failure for what it truly is: training, a teacher, a mirror showing you what needs improvement, a challenge designed to fuel your evolution. So if something doesn't work, adjust. If you fall, stand back up. If the road feels impossible, take one more step. No matter how strong, smart, or talented you are, you will fail. You will be tested. You will have days when quitting feels easier than continuing. But the man who endures, the one who gets back up when the odds are stacked against him, That man is the one who wins in the end. So ask yourself honestly, when life gets difficult, do you push forward or do you pull back? Do you let challenges break you down? Or do you allow them to forge a stronger version of you? The choice is always yours. In the end, the world does not belong to the smartest, or the strongest, or even the luckiest. It belongs to the ones who refuse to quit. Will you be one of them? Take a moment to reflect. Which Stoic principle from this journey struck you the hardest? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your insight. Now that we've explored mental endurance, let's go deeper. In the next section, we'll uncover how to develop an antifragile mindset, one that doesn't just resist pressure, but actually grows stronger because of it. Get ready. Previously, we explored how an antifragile mindset means more than just surviving hardships. It means thriving because of them. Now let's dive deeper into how exactly you can begin to build that kind of mind. One of the biggest traps that keeps men weak is the constant craving for external validation. Instead of strengthening their inner foundation, they look outward for approval, applause, reassurance. Seneca warned us of this fragile mindset when he said, "We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared." Think about that. A man who hasn't been tested by struggle is like a blade that's never seen battle. It might look sharp, but the first time it hits resistance, it shatters. So how do you sharpen yourself? How do you become someone who thrives under pressure rather than collapses? The only way is this: embrace discomfort. Welcome obstacles. Use every challenge as resistance training for the mind. Picture an athlete in the gym. If he keeps lifting the same light weights, nothing changes. But when he adds resistance, when he breaks down the muscle, his body responds by rebuilding. It's stronger. Your mind works the same way. Every time you apply pressure to it, whether through challenge, criticism, rejection, or failure, it has a chance to grow stronger. But only if you frame it that way. So step 1. Change how you see hardship. Don't avoid difficulty. See it for what it truly is, a proving ground. You lose your job? It's not the end, it's a beginning. It's your chance to rebuild, adapt, and grow into something greater. You face rejection? That doesn't mean you're inadequate. It means you've been given a chance to develop your resilience and refine your skills. Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, put it best: the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting. Its skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Remember, the strongest version of you won't be forged in comfort. It'll come from walking through the storm scarred, tested, and better for it. Step 2. Train yourself to stay calm under pressure. Most men panic the moment life stops going their way. They spiral, react emotionally, and lose sight of logic. But the antifragile man, he stands steady. He doesn't let outside events dictate his inner peace. He understands a fundamental Stoic truth. He can't always control what happens, but he can always control how he responds. When you feel the heat rise, stop. Take a breath. Detach. Then ask yourself, will this still matter in a year, 5 years? Chances are it won't. And when you zoom out like that, you strip your problems of their power. Finally, this is key: start exposing yourself to controlled adversity. Coming up next, we'll explore how you can use small, intentional doses of discomfort to forge real mental strength before life throws something bigger your way. Let's continue. In the last section, we explored how Staying calm under pressure and zooming out from the chaos can strip problems of their power. But mastering your mind doesn't stop there. If you want to truly develop an antifragile mindset, there's one more critical step: intentional exposure to discomfort. You can't become antifragile by hiding from stress. You have to train with it. That means deliberately placing yourself in uncomfortable situations. Push your body through physical discipline. Face the social fears that keep you silent. Take calculated risks in your career. And challenge the personal weaknesses you've been avoiding. Think of it like forging steel. The blade isn't shaped in soft hands or cool breezes. It's hammered, bent, and refined in fire. If you avoid discomfort, you stay weak. But if you use it as training, you grow stronger than you ever imagined. The Roman legions didn't wait for war to prepare. They trained relentlessly day after day, so that when the real battle came, they were already hardened for it. Seneca illustrated this brilliantly when he said, "Set aside a number of days on which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress," saying to yourself all the while, "Is this the condition I feared?" Let that sink in. The only way to stop fearing hardship is to face it. And when you do, you discover something powerful. You can endure far more than you think. But there's another chain that keeps men fragile, and it's not physical. It's the invisible chain of external validation. Too many men live their entire lives in silent bondage, not bound by iron, but by the opinions of others. They crave approval. They chase recognition. And they allow the judgment of strangers to shape their decisions, silence their voice, and dim their potential. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you depend on others to feel worthy, you surrender your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Why do we do this? Why do we censor our thoughts, suppress our dreams, and shrink ourselves? All because we're afraid of how we might be perceived. The truth is, most people are too absorbed in their own lives to care about yours. And yet, many waste decades molding themselves to please others instead of becoming who they were meant to be. And today, it's worse than ever. Social media feeds this cycle like fuel to a fire. Likes, comments, follows, shares, small dopamine hits that keep you chasing the approval of strangers. A man who relies on those things for his confidence is not strong, he's fragile. Because the moment public opinion turns, so does his self-worth. But a man who stands firm in his values, who knows who he is regardless of applause or criticism, that man is unshakable. Seneca warned, "He who seeks approval from others has already condemned himself." Because when you live for their approval, you're silently saying, "I need their permission to believe in myself." In the next part, we'll talk about how to reclaim that power, how to build a sense of inner strength that doesn't depend on applause, opinion, or outside validation. Let's continue. Previously, we uncovered one of the most dangerous traps a man can fall into: living for external validation. Now let's take it to its final depth, reclaiming your inner authority. Because once you depend on someone else to tell you you're enough, you've already handed over your power. What happens when they no longer approve? What happens when the applause fades, or worse, turns into silence? A man who builds his confidence on praise will eventually crumble when it disappears. But a man who validates himself, he stands tall, even in solitude. Picture a master craftsman at work. He doesn't pour hours into carving, shaping, and refining wood just for applause. He creates because it reflects who he is, because the act of creating itself is a form of self-respect. Whether others acknowledge him or not, the value of his work does not change. Now apply that same lens to your own life. Do you act from your deepest values, or from fear of how others might react? How many times have you bitten your tongue, shrunk your voice, or veered off course because of the invisible chains of judgment? The strongest men, philosophers, warriors, creators, they didn't chase validation. They chased purpose. They followed the call that made their heart beat louder, even if it meant walking alone. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because growth doesn't happen in comfort. It often means being misunderstood, criticized, or even ridiculed. But that's the price of authenticity. Letting go of external validation doesn't mean you ignore wise feedback. It means you stop tying your worth to the crowd's reaction. It means doing what's right even when no one's watching. It means choosing excellence not because someone is cheering, but because that's who you are. A true Stoic doesn't need applause. His values, his discipline, and his quiet inner integrity, that's his reward. So how do you begin letting go? Start by becoming aware. Catch yourself in the act of people-pleasing. Ask, am I doing this for me or for their approval? Second, lean into discomfort. If judgment scares you, confront it. Speak your truth. Act boldly. Let them misunderstand you. It won't destroy you. And finally, define success on your own terms. Measure yourself by your own standards, not by the shallow opinions of a noisy world. Because in the end, the people you tried so hard to impress, they'll forget you. But you'll have to live with yourself every single day. So ask yourself, are you living for them or for you? The choice is yours. And now, before we close, what's the biggest challenge you've faced that helped you build mental toughness? Drop it in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to take their first step. Remember, mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build bit by bit through discipline, resilience, and refusing to break when life presses hard against you. The Stoics understood that real strength doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from applause. It comes from mastery of the self. So, control your emotions. Reframe every challenge as fuel. Build endurance. Develop an anti-fragile mind. And free yourself from the prison of needing validation. These aren't just lessons. They're the foundation of an unshakable mind. The only question left is, will you apply them? Will you train your mind as a warrior trains his body? Leave a comment below with the lesson that hit you hardest. Thank you for being here today, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay present, and keep walking the path.